on refusing to be a spectator. Christopher Hitchens once said, "Never be a spectator of unfairness or stupidity." It's one of those lines that, like all moral imperatives, sounds deceptively simple until you try to live by it. The temptation to spectate is immense. It asks nothing of you but your silence, and it rewards you with the illusion of safety. You can scroll past, turn the channel, avert your gaze, and feel quite modern about it. The world's ills acknowledged, but untouched. The trouble is that civilization cannot endure on the goodwill of spectators. Every great moral failure of the past century, fascism, segregation, theocracy, genocide, thrived not on the enthusiasm of villains, but on the acquiescence of the decent. Evil, as we have learned and relearned, does not require belief to triumph. It merely requires that people look away. The complicity of silence. You'll have heard people say, "It's not my place," or "I don't want to get involved." But morality that waits for convenience is no morality at all. The price of comfort, paid in moral currency, is complicity. To watch unfairness, whether the petty cruelty of a bureaucrat or the grand corruption of a state, and say nothing, is to side with the oppressor by default. The same is true of stupidity. For stupidity, left unchallenged, becomes policy, and policy becomes destiny. The only thing worse than ignorance is the cultivation of ignorance, the insistence that others share it in the name of faith or patriotism. We have, in our age, dressed cowardice up as civility. We imagine that tolerance means refusing to judge, that manners can replace conscience. Yet some things are not to be tolerated, and stupidity, when weaponized, is one of them. The civilized person does not burn books, he simply refuses to read anything that disturbs him. The effect is the same. The courage to think, to refuse spectatorship is not merely an act of protest, but of thought. The first rebellion is intellectual. It begins with the decision to think for yourself and to take the consequences. The rational faculty is not a decorative organ. It is our only defense against tyranny, superstition, and collective madness. But thinking is dangerous work. It risks the comfort of belonging. It demands that you stand alone and, if necessary, against. Those who say, "Don't rock the boat," forget that sometimes the boat is taking on water. There is, in every society, a silent majority that prides itself on moderation. "Surely both sides have a point," they say, as if reason were a teeter-totter and truth a matter of balance. This is nonsense. There are not always two sides. When one side demands the suppression of thought, the other has no duty to meet it halfway. Neutrality in the face of injustice or idiocy is not balance, it is surrender. On the duty of offense, you must be willing to offend. Indeed, you must cultivate it as one would sharpen a blade. The right to free speech is not the right to be comfortable. It is the right to disturb. Every truth worth saying began as a blasphemy. The prophets of progress, Voltaire, Paine, Darwin, Orwell, were all accused of indecency, and by precisely the sort of people who would rather have remained spectators. To be polite when honesty is called for is a form of cowardice. There are times when it is better to be rude than complicit. If you see someone peddling ignorance, whether from a pulpit, a podium, or a television studio, and you say nothing, you are as guilty as the liar himself. The Enlightenment, that luminous moment when reason first dethroned superstition, was not achieved by spectators. It was achieved by those willing to mock kings, question gods, and risk the noose. Civilization is not maintained by the timid. The consolation of engagement. There is, however, a kind of joy in defiance. To stand up against unfairness or stupidity is to reaffirm your humanity. It's a reminder that you are still capable of outrage, still allergic to lies, still unwilling to barter away your conscience for comfort. It is better, infinitely better, to die on your feet than live on your knees, and infinitely nobler to speak a truth that costs you friends than to remain silent and keep their approval. The reward for courage is not popularity, but self-respect. And the world, in the end, belongs to those who show up, who engage, who question, who refuse the narcotic of passivity. The moral of the spectator. When you hear someone say, "I'm just staying out of it," what you are hearing is the quiet collapse of their moral backbone. Do not join them. Every time you look the other way, you hand another inch of ground to unreason. And when you finally turn back, you'll find that the ground beneath your feet has vanished. The erosion of liberty and truth begins with small silences, the sort we call minding our own business. So, never be a spectator of unfairness or stupidity. The universe offers no applause for bystanders. Engage, interfere, speak. Risk offense, risk rejection. Risk being right when it's unfashionable. For civilization depends, not on the masses who watch, but on the few who refuse to look away.